Have a break on the 14th.
But it has no microphone. But I think it's right there. Yeah, okay, that's good to know. I'll worry about it.
Mic check.
We're discussing
Sounds good.
the next meeting, for next meeting.
All right, thank you.
anybody's got it. Okay, well, with the exception of that portion of the minutes, then, we've got a motion and a second for approval. Ms. Only?
Malinowski?
Yes.
English?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next, adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Ms. Only?
Malinowski?
Yes.
English?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Now, next is the election of the chair. I'll entertain a motion for that.
Move that you continue as chair, Mr. Malinowski.
Afraid you'd say. Of course, with all these amounts of meetings we have, it's not too bad, so. Okay, we got a motion for me to continue. I'll second it. Ms. Only?
Malinowski?
Yes.
English?
Yes.
Okay, project update, page 6. Director Davis.
Good afternoon. Can y'all hear me? This is basically just a project update from the Southeast Sewer System, and water and sewer services that are going to be incorporated as part of that project. And particularly, we're talking about 46 customers that have filled out all the paperwork within the timeline that was required by council. So when we submitted all this paperwork to the people, we went out to, there was about 70 on the sewer side and 60 on the water, and what we landed with was 46 total that were within the parameters and that had filled out all the paperwork. So that's pretty much it, so.
Questions from, I have a question. My question is, have we gotten any more since that time?
No, sir, and I think that we sent out multiple notifications in multiple formats, including door-to-door, with the customers that had signed up with the email notification from the prior time frame.
Off the top of your head, Mr. Davis, could you give us a ballpark figure as to what the cost for the sewer was for the building and then for the water?
The sewer ranges is different prices based on each contract, because each contractor bids a different number. So somewhere between $10,000 and $25,000 plus the additional cost for crossing the road and other things like that. So it probably an average would be somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000 a piece for the sewer.
No, okay, I meant what is the county paying overall to have this sewer put in?
It's several $100,000.
Several $100,000. Okay,
Yes,
it's
sir.
not up in the millions.
No, sir.
And the water?
The water's a lot less. I don't know that number off the top of my hand, but from a cost standpoint, we could get that to you, but it's much less. Like you're talking probably several $1,000s per home, like maybe $2,000 to $3,000.
I'm just wondering what kind of a time frame do we have for an ROI, a return on investment?
Oh, well, with the sewer,
Sounds like it's gonna be forever.
it'll be forever, because if you took 15,000 and divided by 6403, you're going to talk about years to recover that cost.
That's all I was wondering. I just wanted that as part of the update. Thank you. Anyone else have any questions?
No questions, but just wanted to make a statement that we've been working with Mr. Davis and his team since the inception of coming on council, and thank you for your patience and bringing me up to date and working with me. We've also been applying for additional funds to work with Abilene Park to see if we can't get them on the sewer system. We're just working, and it's a lot of behind the scenes. So thank you for your support and your the work that you've been doing for you and your staff. So thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. That's very kind.
Okay. Just waiting. We got a powwow going on there. Is there anything? Do we need to wait, or should we just keep going? Okay. The next item on the agenda, under items for action number 6A, a TCO change order 12, and that's on pages 7 through 11. Director Davis.
Yes, sir.
But wait, but before you get into that, in this agenda, I have a question, and I'm not so sure that this item belongs here at this point in this committee. Wait a minute. Is it this one? No, go ahead. This one does. It's the next one I have a question on. Go ahead.
As far as the TCO change order, the reason for this change order is with these individual sewer pump stations and the propensity of failure rate, they fail generally between 2 and 5 years. And if the homeowners are not doing the maintenance, then it happens over a weekend. We want to make sure and ensure that we have enough storage, and Richland County specifications and ordinances require a storage of about 500 gallons. And the typical design of these individual pump stations, which was submitted by the engineer and approved by the contractors and the engineer, not Richland County necessarily, but the engineering firm, they only allowed for about 95 to 100 gallons, which was not sufficient. And each house uses about, several hundred gallons a day. And with that being the case, if it happened over a weekend and we didn't know about it and the homeowner didn't contact us, there could be a sewer spill. So we wanted to ensure we had enough storage. So now we have the adequate 500 gallons per unit if we add this additional concrete structure beside the pump station to add the volume that we need for protection of the environment.
Is there any reason that this wasn't found out before the contract was let, or was this before your time?
It was definitely before my time, and I can say it was found as a direct result of my current staff looking into the information.
Okay, so you're saying that the county ordinance requires a 500-gallon
Yes, sir.
Backup, right?
So in case the pumps fail,
Right.
it can fill up 500 gallons. Yes, sir.
And right now, we're only looking at 95 to 100 per home. And it could create a problem, which could create additional fines and penalties from DHEC if we have an overflow. So basically, we're trying to come in compliance with our own ordinance.
Yes, sir.
For this dollar amount here of, what was it?
172,000.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, I would make, and it's stated in here that the funds were in your budget.
Yes, sir.
So I would make a motion that we authorize the Utilities Department to move forward with this particular change order. A motion and a second? And there's no other discussion? Ms. Only?
Malinowski?
Yes.
English?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next one, item 6B. This is the one that I'm wondering why it is in this committee, unless we're doing business differently. If you turn to page 13 of our agenda, the second, well, it's not that, this originally came out of, here it is. It came from the Corona Ad Hoc Committee. That's on page 18 of our agenda. It says there what happened, and that on page 18, where it's highlighted in there, and then down below that even, this was in Corona Ad Hoc Committee, and they're the ones that said, let's enact collecting late fees or turning off utilities. So why would that all of a sudden go from one committee to another committee? If they started it, I would think they should be the ones that continue and bring it to conclusion, unless there's a reason why we do have it. Administrator Brown.
Yes, sir, Mr. Malinowski. Very good question. And this is one of those items that we talked about for staff is, how to keep things in the appropriate committees. And because there's some crossover, what we thought is let's make sure we at least inform the Sewer Ad Hoc Committee. Because if I go to Coronavirus Ad Hoc Committee, where Ms. Barron is talking about items associated with the coronavirus, and then we bring up a sewer item, then a question may come up as to, well, why is this item not in sewer? So information for the sewer committee, understood an item originated in coronavirus that involves sewer, but we at least wanted to inform the sewer body so that no one would feel as though we were not taking the appropriate actions by not addressing an item in a committee that is specifically designated for a portion of county business. So that would be the reason, Mr. Malcolm.
Okay, and I can see the exception to the rule here why that took place, because that was a matter dealing with those COVID matters at the time. So is this something, no, it is on our agenda for an action item. Is this something you'd like us to continue to do now and act on?
I think that it would make sense for, at least for this committee, if nothing else, to provide a recommendation, because I don't think it would be helpful for the coronavirus ad hoc committee not to know what the sewer committee thought about a sewer item.
Okay. My other question is, this is on page 13. It says in May of 2020, the governor allowed the disconnections to begin with steps to normalize disconnections and go back to installing late fees and penalties was part of that. And that was in May of 2020, a year and a half ago. And I'm wondering why a year and a half later we're just being made aware of this and asking to make a decision.
Sure, and I'll take that again. That's not on Mr. Davis. Mr. Malinowski, during that year and a half where we continued to experience COVID conditions, there were several times when county council met via council as a body and certainly as various committees where it was continued to discuss how can we mitigate additional, I hate to use the term, harm to citizens. How can we lessen the burden that they're experiencing? And so at that time, there were a couple of different decisions that we held off on related to sewer. And so we did the same thing with rates. So, and maybe it was a bad assumption on my part, but if we were not willing to move forward with rates at that time, then disconnection certainly would be something that we would not move forward with, because disconnecting a service and having it reconnected would be more expensive for a citizen. So at that time, Mr. Malinowski, that's how that decision was made. So some of that is an assumption by the county administrator. I take full responsibility for that, but that was part of conversations that we were having as a county government about how do we continue to support the community of individuals who are being impacted by COVID. And because we didn't take some other actions, I certainly didn't think you wanted to do disconnections.
Right, but now we're at the point that as of the end of August of this year, that we're in arrears a little over $1 million, correct?
That's correct. And Mr. Malinowski, to support that, you may recall, let's go back to our neighbors, the COVID-19 ad hoc committee. We went to that committee and we requested through this committee and ultimately council approved to use a portion of ARP dollars to address that. So again, we were supporting citizens, but we did that to make the utility system, for the most part, try to make them whole. Right. So that's how all that's intertwined.
And I recall all that. And I'm just wondering, using whatever amount we did from the ARP, where does that put this $1 million?
Yeah, so we kind of have that. So it is $1 million that we have, and it's kind of the term is not reserved. We're using that to reflect bad debt for the utility system. So ideally, again, it kind of puts us in a neutral position at a point in time. But doing this, it begins to tell people that the county is going back to disconnects if you are not continuing to pay your fees and if you don't have a payment plan that you're honoring.
Okay, so our staff recommendation is to resume the policy for disconnections and of water and sewer systems for non-compliant individuals.
Yes, sir, Mr. Malinowski. That's a short answer, and I believe that Richland County Council as a body and administration has been very conscious, and we've done almost for the past year and a half what we can, but we do have a utility system that we have to account for with our rate covenant.
Thank you, Administrator Brown. Any other comments or questions from any of my colleagues here? If not, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Your motion is to move forward with the staff recommendation?
Yes, sir.
And I will second that. Ms. Only?
Malinowski?
Yes.
English?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. I got one more question here. If I could just quickly go back to the last one we don't, I believe, need to reconsider it. But you stated your amount was $172,000 for the change orders. And down after that, it said the remobilization and other expenses incurred due to delays were around $67,000.
Yes, sir.
How did delays cost an additional $67,000? If it's delayed, nobody's working.
Well, they have to rent space, and they have to rent space, and they also have to mobilize and remobilize to get that final part of the work done. So
Okay. Ace.
it's a lot of stuff at the store.
Oh, it's all that,
Yeah.
equipment and supplies?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Let's see, that was the last thing on our agenda, I believe. Number 7, adjournment.
Moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Malinowski,
Well, yes.
English.